From Uni High to Notre Dame to the Bachelorette to Pro Football Focus and just about everywhere in between, how do you sum up your time since leaving Central Illinois, Mike?
Oof, it's been a journey. Like it feels like I've been all around. I've lived like kind of all around the Midwest ever since then. I went to, like I said, Notre Dame. So I went to Indiana, and then I lived in Chicago, and now living in Ohio, and then obviously went out to LA for a little bit for the Bachelorette. But it's just been kind of wild afterwards how I've gotten seen like my seen just PFF and everything grow up to this point. Has been kind of weird coming from a high school that didn't even have a football program, now being like football is my life is just an odd transition.
How did you even get this position, and could you have even seen yourself doing what you're doing now 10 years ago?
No, honestly, I even when I had a job at PFF right out of college, so I was an accounting major my senior year, and I was looking for jobs, and I was like, I don't want to do accounting. I'm like sick of accounting. I don't want an accounting job, and so I used to read Pro Football Focus like somewhat, once a week or so back in college, and I they had a listing on the website about a job, and I applied, and it was only part time, didn't pay a lot, but I was like, I'll actually work hard at football. I'll actually do apply myself to this. I'm not going to give a damn about accounting if I go and just do a public accounting job. And so got that. My parents were like not happy about it. Didn't think it was actually a real thing. Didn't think I could actually, have a career in football, having never played football. Actually, I played at Mahomet back in seventh grade. It's the only time I ever played football. But I did it and had fewer than 10 people at the time in the company, and now we have over 500, including part-timers, and it's grown ever since. And Chris Collins was bought in 2015, and now, like, I feel like this year, more than any other year, is the first time we really felt, like, mainstream at PFF. So, kind of maybe because, like, the PFF draft show was, like, everybody else's draft show, and that everyone's worked from home, and this coronavirus stuff, everyone's on a webcam, but it felt like we were part of, mainstream media and the football conversation.
You're on nationally network syndicated shows now, Dan Patrick, and you're making a name for yourself. When did you kind of realize that, hey, I'm in a position that is a big deal and I've made it, so to speak? Coming from, like you said, a position where you didn't even play football.
I think it was last year when was the first year I was our lead draft analyst at Pro Football Focus. That was like my title, and I just got to focus on the draft all year round, and it was kind of like a dream come true for me in that I just remember getting draft guides as a kid before the draft because my birthday is April 27th. It was always right around the draft, so my dad would give me a draft guide, and that was like all I would want to ever do is just analyze football players and how good they are and project how good they're going to be, and that finally got that to be my title, and that was all I did for the past year and a half now, and I just when I got that I was like, wow, I actually kind of feel like I've made it at this point.
What do you remember most about your time back here in Champaign-Urbana and Mahomet and growing up in this area?
Oh man, I think just like playing sports back as a kid, basketball at uni was obviously kind of like the only sport they had there. They didn't even have a baseball program, but baseball also in the summers with Champaign Legion, and then Little League back Mahomet's. The thing I always like look back and remember is thinking about like the fields that I played at and the gyms that I played at in the area. I like can remember every detail about them, just so spot on. Last time I drove through was probably last year around this time. Last like June was the last time I was in town, and just driving through, and that's the first thing that comes to mind is, oh hey, there's 13 acres. I used to play baseball over there. I used to do that. That's like I remember most probably about the area.
What do you make of Illinois' guys that haven't been a lot of draft picks the last decade overall, especially the last 5 years? But I know you're eyeing a couple that maybe have a chance this year.
Yeah, it was the right tackle, Alex. You're gonna have to help me with the last name here. Palczewski. Is
Yep,
that? Am
you
I
got
close?
it.
Oh, I got it. All right, good. That's a good Polish name probably. It's he actually has a chance. He might be a guard at the next level. He might be evaluated as a guard, but he's graded out really well in our system at PFF at tackle. I think he has the movement skills to stay there, but I'm not sure he necessarily has the length of play strength that people are going to want. But I think he's very technically sound at this point in his career. I think he has a good shot of being at least a day 3 pick at this point. So I think this is the year Illinois gets themselves a draft pick. I feel pretty good about saying he will get drafted next April.
Joshi Matorbebe, another guy that really jumped onto the scene after not playing a lot at USC and struggling with injuries. big go up and catch guy. How do you guys evaluate him and what he might bring to the table at the next level?
Yeah, jumped on the scene. Very good word choice by you. I remember his video back in high school of him, 46-inch vertical. What was it? It just looked like he was flying off the. And that's what he brings to the table. Is the dude is a freak athlete by every sense of the word. But we've seen guys like that in recent years. It takes a little more than just that sort of athleticism to win at wide receiver. I think he just needs a big year from him. He doesn't have necessarily the polish in his route running at this point. He's more just athleticism over nuance, and that can develop, though. We've seen guys break out late in their careers, but he definitely needs to he needs to improve, whereas Falkowski, I think, doesn't need to necessarily take his game to the next level to get drafted. I think Matt Brady does at this point.
Final question for you here, Mike. Kind of take me through the process and how you guys evaluate guys, what you do for your role in evaluations, and is it different from other people, I assume, or other, scouting evaluators?
Yeah, it's pretty different in that what we're known for at PFF is that we grade every player on every play. So we will basically, we have guys who I don't do the grading anymore, but I used to, which was just you watch the play, and every single guy you give them, how well did they do their job? Did they go above and beyond? Did they execute it how you'd expect, or did they do their job poorly? And that goes, like I said, every game for college and every game for pros. And so at the end of the year, we have this grade and this play-by-play grading that's kind of the basis. And we think that the guys who we are high on, for the most part, are the guys who win more often than they don't. If a guy doesn't grade out well for us in that sort of realm, we're just never going to be high on them. Some guys in this past class who just didn't, grade out well on a play-for-play basis, guys like Caleb Chase on the LSU edge defender, went 20th, Justin Herbert, Oregon quarterback, they just didn't grade out well on a play-by-play basis. So we're just not going to be high on those guys because we believe that that's a good starting point. Doing your job well is a good starting point for when projecting to the next level. So that's how it's kind of like the basis for it. But then from there, it's athleticism. It's the traits that normal NFL scouts will look for, and we also believe in the data and where it tells us projects the best for certain positions. We have 6 years of college data now projecting to the NFL. We've seen sort of which guys who graded out well in college and then didn't succeed in the NFL, and which guys maybe graded out all right in college but then succeeded in the NFL. We've kind of seen what areas they graded out well and what physical traits they had that project well. So it is very much data based and very much sort of trusting that part of the evaluation, but it also is a lot of eye tests. A lot of this guy has the tools. I think he will continue to develop. There are areas where this guy can actually develop with better coaching, because that is kind of the biggest thing about college to pro is that some guys just don't get good coaching. You look at Ed Oliver at Houston a couple years ago, just wasn't getting NFL caliber coaching. That's going to change to the next level. He's going to improve. So things like that we also take into account a lot.
A lot of film, it sounds like. You guys.
Yes, that's basically my role. Is I do the film aspect of it. We have other guys doing the data aspect. I went to uni, so I know math a little bit, but I don't know math like these guys do.
That's awesome. All right, anything else you want to add?
No. I guess Illinois football. I was never a big Illinois football fan, but I will say I do think Lovie Smith is turning it around. I think that this is a good time to be an Illinois football fan. It does seem like he's turning the corner with that program.